I never really considered myself like a writer at first. When you experience certain things, whether it is something to celebrate or whether it's something like a tragedy or something in your life, I always found that writing was a really good outlet for that. So there was a time where I'd write things, but I wouldn't necessarily share. I'd just write as a form of expressing or getting those emotions and feelings out. I find it kind of difficult sharing your work because it's almost like an extension of yourself. So it's something personal that you're putting out there, 2 stars and a wish.
Nation's capital. We are located in Ottawa, Canada. We have an interview with Grace Peters-Clarke. Yes, she's a Vincentian, live in the UK. She's also a winner. So we're going to talk all about her winning and a little bit of her background. And our host this evening is Mr. Moulton Sayers. Good afternoon, Grace. Welcome to Vinci Internet Radio.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
Can you give us a little background of who Grace is? And then we'll be in the capable hands of your host, Mr. Moulton Sayers.
Yeah, my name is Grace Peters-Clarke. I have been living in the UK for the past 10 years. This year would make 10 years. I teach. I am a teacher of English, literature, and language. I've also taught theatre arts and drama as well in St. Vincent. I've been teaching for about 20 years now. And so that's me in a very concise way.
A lot of people ask me, can you ask Grace which side of St. Vincent is she from?
Dorsetshire Hill or Upper Sion Hill, but my family is from Beckway.
Well, that's great. Now you're into the capable hands of the host.
All right, thanks, Sip. Once again, just a pleasant good afternoon to our radio listeners, and good evening if you're living in the UK or Europe. And if you're new here, it's our program Strictly Vinci, and today we have the pleasure of talking to award-winning script writer, Miss Grace Peters-Clarke. Grace, welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me as well.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have, especially our own, Vincentian people, showcasing them to the world for, their distinctive work. If I can ask you to take us back to your humbler beginnings, like from your childhood days when you were just catching on to writing or the love of writing.
I started off, I would say I always had a love for English and English literature. My mom was a teacher of English. She's now retired. And so there were always books in our house, and I was always encouraged to read, and it's something that I always enjoyed, listening to stories. And I remember one particular instance where we were asked to do a performance. Now, I grew up in Africa. I grew up in Zimbabwe, actually, because that's where my parents moved to. So I spent a significant amount of my childhood there. So this is a school in Zimbabwe, and we're asked to do a performance. And I just remember hitting the stage and the lights coming on me. And I thought, this is really cool. I really like the idea of being on stage. And from then, I found like a real passion for telling stories, whether that's through the performing arts, through dance, through poetry, and more recently, screenwriting.
Mm-hmm. And how old were you at that time?
I think I would have been around 7 or 8.
Wow. So you do speak the Zimbabwean language as well, right?
No. The predominant language then would have been, well, it is Shona, but we spoke English because the school that I went to, the main language was English because, Zimbabwe was colonized as well.
Yeah. So your parents were there teaching English, or they just moved there?
Yeah, my dad was a lecturer, and my mom taught English there.
Okay, that explains a lot of what I was going to ask you later on, like how, because when I looked at your resume, you're all in the field of English and, very prolific, not just you were there settled in English. Because a lot of us liked reading, but not a lot of us, became very good writers. So how, because not all readers are good writers. So how did you get to love the writing part of it? Because I know you like the English side where you read and you're also teaching it. So which tells me you like the grammar of it and you like the other particulars of it. So how did you get to the writing part?
I'd say that I never really considered myself like a writer at first. But when you experience certain things, whether it is something to celebrate or whether it's something like a tragedy or something in your life, I always found that writing was a really good outlet for that. So there was a time where I'd write things, but I wouldn't necessarily share, so I'd just write as a form of expressing or getting those emotions and feelings out. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. So that was something like predominantly private, right? But, when you share your work, you get to understand that actually other people might benefit or enjoy what you've written as well. So that was a process for me because I find it kind of difficult sharing your work because it's almost like an extension of yourself. So it's something personal that you're putting out there and you're kind of sharing your vulnerability. So when I was able to do that, I think I actually realized that people enjoyed reading what I had to offer. So right. Yeah, you could say that that's where things began.
Was it easier though when people started giving you compliments on your writing, so you got more comfortable in sharing it? Was it something?
Yeah, it's always good to start with the compliment, or as they say over here, 2 stars and a wish. So you give like 2 compliments and then an area for improvement. But it's always nice or gentle when somebody starts with a compliment and then they gradually ease you into the critique.
Yeah, because it said that you're good when people are telling you you're good, they're giving you that compliment. And also it's the way that they would just, whenever something comes up with writing or reading or whatever, everybody jumps on Grace, right?
Right. But I should say as well, like it's also equally important to get feedback and to get critical feedback in order to improve your work. So you can't always have people saying, that was fantastic all the time. You need, I think writers, certainly if you're going to improve your craft, you definitely need to have somebody saying to you, well, this is what you need to do to improve. Right. So critique is important.
Yeah, very, very important. And that's the way to go forward if you really want to improve yourself and you don't just want friends who are jumping on the yes man bandwagon. So tell me about your schooling. So you grew up primarily in Zimbabwe, and did you do any schooling in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
So after Zimbabwe, I moved to St. Vincent when I was about 10. My family moved back rather, and I went to prep school, and after that I went to girls' high school, and then community college. That was the first year that the community college began. And then off to University of the West Indies, Mona campus.
When you were at girls' high school, of course, you didn't get to participate in the public speaking and all that. You didn't get to do. Did you get to do any of those kind of stuff?
No, I think I was quite shy in some respects. And also, I just didn't see, girls' high school is a very competitive place, right? So I didn't really feel like I was good enough. at the time. I mean, maybe retrospectively, if I had applied myself and really put myself forward, I think it's something I could have done. But at the time, I really didn't think I was capable. I thought my peers were a lot more talented in that area, you know, to represent high school.
Well, I guess you show excel beyond your expectation in that area now as well. So take
In
us
some
up.
respect.
Yeah, take us up. You in case our listeners don't know like what we're really talking about here. So you won the script writing for a script called Cartman, and it
Correct.
was and it's for the Hairouna Film Lab. So before we get into Cartman, just highlight us a little bit about the Hairouna Film Lab, what it's all about.
Okay, so Hairouna Film Lab is essentially part of Hairouna Film Festival, and it's an organization that's geared towards promoting Vincentian and by extension Caribbean film. And so I think with the Hairouna Film Lab, it's in collaboration with Soho House, which is another kind of international organization that fosters creative arts or creativity. So it's kind of like a hub for creatives to develop and improve on their work and explore certain things. So Hairouna Film Lab put out this competition for Vincentians, resident in St. Vincent and also abroad. And so we had to write roughly a 10 to 12 minute script and then turn that in as part of the competition. And then the winner gets to have their script or their play produced.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get to Cartman later on. Not that you're gonna give us the whole story, but we're gonna get to how it came about.
No.
But, yeah, you also did a lot of writing in plays and you produced or directed and written for theater companies, various theater companies, or theater organization. Just highlighting us a little bit on that, and then after my co-host is going to jump in.
Okay, so in St. Vincent, I also taught at the girls' high school for a significant amount of time, and there I was very active in the production of youth theatre. So I'd write plays for production for the school's drama festival and have those produced. I also was a part of a theatre company that we had a short stint, but it was a Christian-based organization called Set Apart Ministries, and we'd do street performances and other theatre productions to kind of promote different community messages. And that, I would say, roughly took place or during a period of about 10 years prior to my coming over to the UK. I also had a dance company, but this is also church-based as well. And yeah, so that's roughly my work.
Once again, good afternoon, Grace. Once you say you were a teacher at the girls' high school, I know this name ring a bell for me, but somewhere along the line, I could not imagine where I heard this name before. Grace Peters. You know that name sometime ring a bell. Anyway, at girls' high school, what was your motivation to go into teaching after you finish high school, to return back there to teach?
Well, apart from the fact that my family is full of teachers, so my brother used to teach at one point, my mother and also my father. So it kind of felt like that was a natural progression. I think also because I studied English literature and language at university, that was one of the easiest positions to kind of attain straight out of uni. And so I found myself, okay, this is my first job. So I started off that way, and it just so happened that I grew into it. I grew to enjoy it. And I stayed. I stuck with it.
Yeah, because teaching seemed to be running along certain veins, because I had my father, he was a headmaster. My sister also was a headmistress, but I never really took that route because I have different plans. And I know when you were growing up in those days, especially in the house with a strict disciplinary educator, it's very difficult to have things your way. But saying that, it's just mean that the discipline today towards education is a little bit different, because people try to integrate a lot of sports now into education. How do you see that combination helping us? What advantage or disadvantage you see from that?
From sports.
Yeah, combining sports with education. Yeah.
I think it's positive. I think whatever route, I think there's no one way into learning or achieving something, right? So if it is that sports is a way of accessing certain young people or getting them interested into another area, or like a gateway into something, I think then I think that's a great way or a great entry point. I also think we shouldn't look at education in a kind of narrow way. So, you know, sports education is, I think, just as important as any other type of, or any other, subject. It just depends on what you're naturally inclined to. I think that everybody has a particular gift or talent. Everybody's inclined to a particular area, and so no one area is less than that. That's my belief, and therefore I think there should be a push for everything to be, or as many subjects as possible to be included in the curriculum, so that you cover a wider range and more young people can feel like they can access things that they may not have necessarily been able to access had it not been included in that curriculum.
Because when I came to Canada, which about 20 something years ago, I'm involved in sports, and I noticed most of the secondary schools here, once you do not have an average of 85%, they do not accept you onto any sports team.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed also is that the kids who they really want to play sports, they give them extra lessons to bring the average up to 85.
Right.
So as you said,
there's a strong emphasis on sports. So so there's like a high expectation or a high standard. It's not seen as something as on the side. You have to excel in one area in order to access the sport that you want to play or be involved in. So I can see the benefits of that.
Yeah, because if you notice, even some of these colleges, once you don't attain a certain level, you cannot make it onto their sports team. So I'm just saying that because I know when we were growing up at small, we were only talking about education rather than diversity education to help us to develop more discipline. So that's one of the things. So outside that, now a little bit of your lab. How are you motivated to write, and why do you choose that topic?
Okay. I think just walking through Kingston is quite an experience, and I just remember one time somebody was saying, I just remember having a conversation about the cartmen and how they seem to own the road, right? They just do whatever they feel like and they don't care. So they need to get where they need to go, and you just need to deal with that. So I found that quite an interesting phenomenon. And then I started thinking more deeply about, the Cartmen in general in St. Vincent, and how it seems to be like a specific subculture that we have. And, you know, I was just fascinated by it. Like, I think it's something that's worth sharing. Also, Kingstown is such a vibrant city, you know, and there's a lot that you can showcase artistically. And I think I wanted to create a script that featured Kingstown, but also kind of pay homage to these group of individuals who we don't really pay much mind, you know, we just see them now and again, or we might hire them or something, or use them occasionally, but we don't really think about their lives and how they too became, you know, cartmen and so on. They're almost like a staple of the city, but then we don't really pay much attention to them. So I kind of wanted to pay homage to that.
Thank you, Sip. In case you just joined us, we're talking to award-winning scriptwriter, Miss Grace Peters-Clarke. And Grace, yeah, so if we come to the Cartman, I know you just explained there how you came to the realization that, you know, these people need to be recognized, but Catmen have been around for a very long time. I have a brother who was a Catman, and that was way back in the days, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't even know if there's so much around now, but I know back in the day when, you know, people wanted a job, and my brother used to ride a bicycle from all the way from country, like, if you know, like close to Georgetown, to come down and push that cart, you know, and then he would sometimes he would ride the bicycle, come back to country. So
right.
They played a significant part in not only in our lives, but they're a vital part of our history. So I'm happy that someone like you recognized the need to recognize them or to highlight them in what they're doing. You tell us, like, in depth of the competition. So you first found out about the competition, how, and take it from there.
Right. So I found out about the competition online via Instagram. I follow Hairouna Film Festival, and then they put it out. They put the ad out, and I thought, because I had this story for years. For years, I've thought about it, and I've always thought that actually, I wanted initially for it to be a stage play, almost like a musical, and then I thought it would translate really well on film, and perhaps reach a wider audience. And so I had that idea, and so when I saw the competition, I thought, maybe at least I can get some feedback on my screenplay, because I had never written a screenplay. I'd written stage plays, but never a screenplay before. And so I decided that I would enter. And we had a bit of an extension of a deadline because of the Lassifere eruption. And then, so I ultimately submitted what I had, tried to edit it as best as I could, because it was only meant to be about 12 or so pages. So I had to condense what I had. And then I thought, okay, I'll just submit it, and then I can maybe get a little feedback on how to go about writing a script. So at the very minimum, that's what would happen. And then I made it to the semifinals and then the finals. And then for the finals, I had to go through a process of receiving feedback and mentorship, which is so invaluable. So that I worked along with Michelle Sirio, who is also originally St. Lucian, but she's quite a well-known screenwriter and producer herself in Caribbean circles. And then also another individual, Abraham Ediami, who's also quite well renowned when it comes to screenwriting as well. So getting feedback from those experts in the field was really, really helpful. It was myself and another individual who were able to benefit from that. And then, so we had to edit, and I learned so much in that process. And then I was able to submit a final piece. And then I thought, okay, at least I've gotten feedback. So I'm happy now. Like, even if I don't win, like, it's absolutely fine.
Right.
I know exactly how I need to go ahead. It would be great if I get funding for it, but that's fine. And then I was told that I won. So I was really elated about that, because it's literally like a visual, a manifestation of this idea that I've had for so long, that, I'm finally getting to put to screen. And of course, I'm very new to the screen and to directing film and producing film. So it's really a new playing field for me, but it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. And so, because you're a playwright, did you find it was easier to condense the script? Because I know writing the script for the screen and writing it for theater are two completely different things. Because one, you have the extension where you can extend your ideas or easily express what you want to say in the screenwriting. But now you have to condense it because of the 12-page issue there. So did you find your playwright helped you in making it more smaller or more condensed?
No, I found it really difficult. If I'm honest, I found it really difficult, because then you have to, because I'm quite long-winded generally, so I tend to write and overwrite a bit, and and get into poetic language and all of that. And one of the things they said to me is, you just need to get rid of all of that poetic stuff, because it's literally, what can you see on the screen? What are the characters actually doing that your audience will see? So it's not a nice lengthy description of how they feel, but what are they doing that kind of reflects that emotion? So I had to cut out a lot of that, which is difficult.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you, because I find myself got cornered also, and I'll tell you after. Did you find when you migrated to the UK, did you find that you were more motivated to write things about back home, things that relate to back home?
100%. 100%. Remember, I spoke about kind of using writing as a means of processing things or expressing ideas or, feelings and emotions. And part of my writing about home, or my fixation with a lot of Vincentian things, is mainly because of the fact that I'm not there. So you have this intense longing for familiarity, or things that or paying homage to things that you perhaps maybe took for granted when you lived there, but then now you long for that mango, yes. And then you write a poem about the taste of the mango, because that's what you miss in that particular moment. So absolutely, yeah, I find that my writing is more centered on Vincentianness, or there's a conscious effort to include, whether it is the vernacular, dialect, or place, the names of places, home, or different expressions. I am determined to center that in my writing.
So, and it's also a good way, to reminisce. And I think Sip and I get that kind of feeling sometimes when we have Vincentian here. When they talk about their story, we can reminisce and relate to things that we've been through back home, or things that we saw. And the reason, let me get to why I ask you that, because when I came to Canada at a very young age, also I did some theater writing. So I was a playwright for a while, and my reason for that was I wanted to be a director, and to a bigger extent, a movie writer, a script writer. But I find that when writing a play, I was so limited, and I'm probably one like you that overwrites. So I find I was so limited in trying to express what I wanted to say, and I'm going like, damn, I wish this was a movie script. But I had no idea at that time how to write a movie script, or even, of course, there was no YouTube, so I couldn't even self-taught myself how to do it. So that's the reason I asked for that. So in writing The Cartman now, give us the gist. I know you cannot tell us the whole story because, of course, we have to watch the film, so give us the general gist of the Cartman, what it's all about.
Okay, so it follows the journey of a young man, Vince. He's my main character, and he finds himself in a difficult situation where he needs to support himself and his family, and he finds himself in a dilemma as it relates to how he's gonna get that kind of income or support. So he ventures out and eventually finds something that will help him along the way. His father dies. His father is a cartman, and his father unfortunately passes away at the very beginning. So that's all I'll say for now.
Yeah. And that's all we'll take for now, because I really I'm really anxious about it. I can't wait to see it. I guess later on you're gonna tell us how we will be able to see it. And you also want more local, or wish that more locals would play parts in the short film.
Correct. So I'm in the process of receiving audition tapes now. So if there's anybody, I know the deadline for my expression of interest was on Friday, but if you're listening to this now and you think, I think I might want to play a role in that, please send an email to cartmanfilmsvg@gmail.com. Register your interest, and I will send you over an audition script. You can audition for that and see if you get selected.
So what are the parts available for audition?
Okay, so we've got, just off the top of my head, so we've got the main character, Vince. So this is a young teenager, so he's about 15. So if you look about 15, as long as you look that age, feel free. There's Nyasha, who is his love interest. She's also about 15. And his friends, so Simeon and Jomo, same age as well, young men. Then we have Cardo, who is a cartman himself. He's much older, so he's in his 50s. We have Miss Gibson, who's a teacher, and she's in her early 30s. Then we have a few voiceovers, so Bully, who's like an older voice, older male voice. And we have Petra. Petra is Vince's little sister, who's about 8. So if you're in that kind of, if there's somebody in that age range up to about 10, they can consider playing that, of course, with your parents' permission. And that's about it. Oh, lots of extras are needed as well. So if you're interested in helping out, please let me know.
So they all have to be local?
Yes, preferably. Yeah.
Okay. And,
so based in St. Vincent. Yeah,
very, very well. And before Sip jumps in, are you the only one taking care of production, or you have a production company that's working?
Oh gosh, no. Remember I said I'm very new to this. So Hairouna Film Festival, they are producing as well. So Aiko Rudette, who heads Hairouna Film Festival, she's working assiduously with me. Big up to her, because she's amazing at what she does. And yeah, so it's not me alone. And then, of course, there are other people, production crew that we will hire as well.
Okay. All right. Because we have a young man who was here on our program a few months ago.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So if you guys can see why.
I look up to Aki. I don't know him personally, but I know his work, and I have a lot of respect for that, for it.
Once again, I'm going to take you a little bit because you're not only into film production, but you're also into poetry. Give us a little background of your poetry.
Background?
Yes. How you got into poetry and the love of poetry.
I think I really started to enjoy poetry when I went to university at Mona, and I got to be lectured by people like Mervyn Morris and Edward Ball, who are great poets within themselves, and they were my lecturers. And so it was just an amazing experience and really inspirational, because both of them kind of encouraged me, not necessarily to write poetry, but just encouraged me as it relates to developing that appreciation for poetry, and particularly West Indian poetry. So that's when I really began to appreciate the art form. And then I started experimenting with writing my own poetry in those years. And I just kind of developed from there, and just enjoyed playing with words and the idea of taking something so deep and like trying to condense things as much as you can, because that's what poetry is about, like your economy of words. So how can you say something without directly saying it and in as little or few words as possible? I find that quite a challenge and something beautiful, really.
West Indian poetry basically based on humor. Do you put in a lot of humor into your poetry?
I wouldn't say all West Indian poetry is humor. We do have a lot of humorous poems and poets. Yeah, I wouldn't say humor is my strong point at all.
Because being a West Indian, we know exactly, as your mother used to say, read between the lines. Kind of when they tell you something, you have to figure out what they're saying. Is that the kind of way you put into your poetry so that somebody can sit down and just relax and then think about what you're trying to say?
Maybe. I also think I don't want to make it too difficult for people to understand. Sometimes some poems can be so wrapped up that it's kind of really difficult to unpack. I don't think I'm that skilled yet. So I think that, yes, I do have some instances where you have to read between the lines because it is poetry, but I do hope for the most part that it's fairly enjoyable and understandable for all who encounter it.
We're having a conversation with Miss Grace Peters-Clarke, and she's the award-winning scriptwriter for Cartman. But also, Grace, you have also an extended resume, and I'll read just a few of them. Presently, you're head of the English department, the Core Education Trust. You were an English teacher for the city of Birmingham, UK, of course. You also did a visit as a visiting lecturer at UWI in SVG, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And you were head of the English department of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Girls High School. And on that note, I just want to say like something about we know the Girls High School has always been, one of the top in the education system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But one of your schoolmate, I don't know if you were around at that time who was before, but Maurice Butler has just got the title of Dean of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. So what's up with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Girls High School student? Is it the
Well,
school?
congratulations to Maurice. Again, we don't know each other personally, but I know of her and I know that she's quite a successful individual. So congratulations to her. And as it relates to Girls High School, I would say there's a culture of excellence within the school, and it's very competitive, and so that kind of compels you to work really hard because you don't want to be at the bottom of the pile, for want of a better expression. But I don't. Let me also say this though. I don't think that what the girls' high school has to offer or the students that go there are any different or better than students that go to other schools or other institutions. I just think that in a number of cases, it's that pursuit of excellence, that drive, right, that keeps a lot of the past students and the current students going. So I would say that.
I understand, because it's like when, like they say, surround yourself with successful people. You're gonna become successful, or good people or positive people, and you're gonna always be positive. So I guess it's the ambience there is, when you come here, you expect to do good, so you just pick up the bug, as to speak, in it. One of the things I admire about you though is you tend to put yourself out there on every platform available that you can express your work. What do you have to say to people when they have things out there to put out? Because sometimes many of us have projects and we don't know how to put it out there, or we're probably afraid to put it out there. What do you say about that kind of work ethics? How do you encourage people to go for their dreams?
Okay, I feel like an imposter talking about this because I don't necessarily use every platform to get my work out there. And I would say, one, that there's seasons. So this is a different season for me in the sense that I am trying to take advantage of things that are out there and just going for it, because at the end of the day, there's nothing really to lose if you just put yourself out there. The only thing there is somebody saying, oh yeah, this, giving your work a go or a try or a chance. So one, I'd say, in a very practical way, look for things or opportunities to get your work out there. One of the things that I found really beneficial for me as a writer is a writers group. So they're a group of women called the Nucleus. Big ups to them. And since joining that group, it's about, how many of us? 6? Six of us. And since joining that group, it's really it's given me the opportunity to grow my work in a kind of nurturing environment. And I would say start with that. Find your niche, find people that you can share your work with and who will be critical, but in a gentle way. So they'll encourage you. Remember, we spoke about the compliment. So you'll get that, but then you'll also get the critique when you need it. Because at the end of the day, if you're always sharing it with somebody you love, they're not necessarily going to want to tell you about the hard points, right? So I'd say, first of all, if you can find that kind of niche or group of individuals, even if it's just one person, that is something that will be beneficial in helping you to be accountable So having somebody to drive you or push you and also help you to improve your work. And then secondly, the other thing I would say is just look for opportunities when they come and look for things that are niche to you. So for example, the Hairouna Film Festival, I am Vincentian, so I knew, okay, that's something that could work for me. So try and find things that kind of suit your particular situation and your and who you are and what type of work you put out there. So those are the two main things I would say. And go easy on yourself, because life does come in seasons as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. When I said every platform, I did not necessarily mean social media or different platforms. Okay. I meant like the nuclear, and you're also part of Intersect Caribbean, right? And you also...
Well, I'm not a part of it. My work has been
featured right? On there. And I think, and I run into the Caribbean writers. I don't know what that is also, but you have a profile there. And that's what I mean when I say the platform, a platform within your niche, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to young writers, seeing that now technology, as in video games, are more taking over, the reading and the writing and stuff like that? What advice would you give to people who like have dreams, but they weren't too sure if, it can be achieved?
I'm speaking to myself as I say this, but
Absolutely.
carve the time out to get it done. If it's something that you really want, the biggest thing that you could do is just actually do it. I've been spending I spent a lot of time like dreaming or thinking about what I'd like to achieve, but actually the main thing is just sitting down and doing it. And it won't always be pretty. It won't always be you on a lovely chair looking out into the mountains, writing and being inspired. It won't always be like that. It'll be difficult. But you have to carve out the time to do it and actually put pen to paper if that's something that you want to do. And then once you've got that, you actually have something solid that you can edit, you can share, you can put out there into different competitions and things like that and get your work to grow. But it won't happen unless you literally sit down and put the work in. And that's for me. I'm telling myself that as well.
Mm-hmm. And just to go back, how many people were in that field of applicants?
Pardon?
Just to go back, how many people were in the field of applicants for the script writing? For
the competition?
Yes.
As far as I don't know how many initial applicants there were. There were 9 semi-finalists and then 2 finalists.
And they were they all Vincentian?
Yes. Or resident in St. Vincent.
Oh, okay. They're resident in St. Vincent as well. What else are you involved in besides, I know, screenwriting, poetry? What else are you involved in concerning writing right now?
Concerning writing, I am working on a project that's personal to me. Well, it is poetry and also prose. So I'm working on a collection of stories that are based on the experience of fertility and child loss. So that's something that I'm working on at the moment.
One thing I try to ask when I do my interview, take away from your poetry, take away from your short story, what next for Grace as being Grace?
I don't know. I think just more creation. So in whatever form that might take, I'd like to see myself create more. So whether that's more screenplays or getting something actually published, that's something that I aspire to, then that's something that I would like to achieve next.
You have any timeline that you would like to achieve these other stuff that you want to do?
I'm very wary about putting timelines on publicly. But I'd say within the next 3 years, I'd like to get something published.
And would it be available, say, on different social media platforms? Say, because there are a lot of sales right now do on online. So would it be online so that anybody can just pick it up at any time?
I don't know. It just depends on what publishing format I choose. But more than likely, if it is published, then it will be accessible widely, whether that's online or in hard copy.
What you can do, just send a message to us and we can help you get it out there, because that's one of the things we try to do here at Vinci Internet Radio, is to help Vincentian grow. I'll tell you, when I try to put this program together, we try to put the program together to Vincentians only. But we were getting so many requests from non-Vincentian and groups. So basically, we started with 1 day. Now we are up to 2 days on this program. So the program, especially in Europe, I find the program is basically growing in Europe. I don't know what European find, but we have a lot of European listeners. And I think for the next 3 weeks that are coming, the people we're interviewing are basically from England.
Oh,
even our next weekend interview will be someone from England. So that tell you we are growing somewhere up in Europe. And I would like to say thanks to all my European listeners who really support and come out and think. So in that said, what's the next project you have in mind? Maybe 2 years down the road, outside your personal stuff. What the next project you have in mind?
I'm just keen to get this film off its feet. And then once I've done that, then I can see what filmmaking is like, and then possibly consider writing and producing another one, depending on, funding and other things that will be involved. But yeah, I'd definitely like to get another film done, but I can't say that until I've completed this first project.
Yeah, project number 1, then you move on to project number 2.
Correct.
So in England, is poetry, or is it acceptable in a wide area?
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely.
So you think there's a good market for, say, a production from you?
A theater production?
Yeah.
Or yes, in some respects. It would just mean my having to network a little bit more to get myself out there. But there are platforms that you can use. There are theater houses that have a number of different programs that are centered on getting like new artists to produce more work. So there are different projects and things that I can hop on here as well.
That would be great. I think I'll be looking forward for some more projects from you soon, beyond Catman.
Okay.
I was saying that there are lots of different opportunities available here. Obviously, the funding has been reduced significantly for the arts in general in the UK, but there are still a few projects that are available and that I think I might get involved with.
And so, Grace, for the Cartman, who will be directing the movie, the film?
So I'll be directing it myself.
Wow, you live in my dream.
It literally is a dream come true.
Okay, so the winner of the script always gets to direct their film. That's what it is.
I don't necessarily think so. I just think it is a low budget film. It's going to be low budget, so where I can cut costs as much as possible, I would go ahead and do that. And therefore, yes, I want to direct it, but it's also part of cutting costs. Somebody else might not necessarily feel comfortable doing that, and so they might want to pay somebody to do it. But I want to do it myself.
Right, because you have the experience of theater director, right?
Correct.
So, okay, nice. So you also have okay, before I ask you that, how would we be able to get to see that film once it's done? For us, let's say North America.
I'm not sure yet, because it will just depend on what platforms we choose to get it out there. And I can't confirm that at this point. But of course, once that has been confirmed, then by all means, we will let people will be informed and will know where to access it.
Like Sip said, you can always hit us up and let us know when it's available, so we can put it out there for your help to get it out there. Because
of course
as well. So you also have a podcast that you're co-host.
Yes.
So why are you hiding your stories from us?
You've done your research.
Let's do this. When you do your podcast, send it for me, and we will be a part of your podcast. Because I'm already doing a podcast for another team, but I definitely like to push Vincentian before other people. So make this a must. Send me your podcast, and we will decide whether we want to do it on a Saturday, Sunday, but definitely put me on your list and send me your podcast.
Okay. No, definitely.
As Moulton say, when you come on this program, don't hold back anything. Because we are here to help. We want to push Vincentian. So don't hold back anything.
Okay.
Right.
So it's called Exennials Podcast, and it's myself and a good friend of mine. We host it. We talk about things related to people within that Exennial generation, and it's done from the perspective of somebody in the diaspora, and two individuals in the diaspora, but I'm first generation, whereas my co-host is third generation.
It's interesting to see that, especially we have, our audience is more bigger in Europe. One thing a lot of people don't realize, like when you come to Vincent Internet Radio, we just let you, just say it all, what not your private stuff, but stuff that, you like people to know. So don't hold back on anything that you think can be beneficial to you or to the public, because it's all about, educating and informing people, and, we all can get together and learn from each other. Because I can tell you, like, so far in this program, man, Sip and I, we have learned so much from just by talking to our guests, Where can someone follow you on social media? I know you're very shy, you look very private, but just in case, folks want to follow you, you're very intelligent, obviously, and very ambitious, so I think you can contribute a lot to other people's ideas and their lives. So where can people follow you on social media? And of course, the podcast.
So on Facebook, I am Grace Peters-Clarke. So you can just you'll find me just using my name, and then on Instagram it's Grace_Tendai. So at Grace_Tendai, and that's my Instagram. I'm also at Afrovinci on Twitter as well, but I'm not very active on Twitter, to be honest.
No wonder I couldn't find you on Instagram, because I was looking up Grace Peters-Clarke on Instagram. And
yes, you wouldn't find it. And it's also private.
Well, I would have added you first, but Grace, it has been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed talking to you. Please, whenever, Cartman is finished or close to finish, you're doing your promotional, even if you want to come on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, although you're shy, don't be shy. Either hit me up or you gotta hit up CP and let me know that, you can just say it's ready. You don't have to say much, just say it's ready and we'll take it from there. So Sip was gonna have the last word over to you, but once again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to take the time out from your busy schedule.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me as well. It's been good.
And remember, Vinci is Vinci. This radio station, treat it like your home. As Moulton say, you don't have to come on and say a lot. You can just send us a message. Sometimes I can always put it into a little jingle, which I love to do. I'm enjoying doing that. It becomes part of me, because while I was growing up, I was like to do all these jingles and used to make it to myself. Now I have the opportunity, so every little thing I just try to put it into a jingle. So we can do that for you. Don't be shy. Anytime you want anything, just if you can't reach me, you can reach Moulton. That would be very important, because we here really want to push, and the only how we can push people is if we get the information from them. So don't hold back on your information. Make sure you send me your podcast. Moulton, I'm gonna send you my the email address that you're gonna send the podcast to, and we're gonna talk about it, and maybe we air it maybe on a Saturday or on a Sunday or sometime in the week. But that's a project I really want to get involved with.
Okay.
And don't hold it back. So
noted.
In passing, I'm gonna give you the final word. You're gonna wrap up the program today, and everything you want to say, it's up to you.
Oh wow, what an honor. First of all, just thank you very much to both of you for having me on your show. Thank you to everybody who has been listening or asking questions or whatever is supporting. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to say to anybody out there who's, writing and wondering what their next step will be, just keep writing. And, don't be afraid to share what you've written, and then hopefully doors will begin to open for you.
Thank you, Grace. It's been a wonderful time spent with you, and I wish you all the best. Cartman, I wish that all the best. And in your future, just make sure that you, as you move forward, let's move forward together, because we all are Vincentians and we all really want to see Vincentian progress. And one step at a time, we're going to help you. And because sometimes it's just the little things that we miss that sometimes set us back. So don't set yourself back. We are here to help you, and all the best until next time. We're definitely going to bring you back sometime, maybe at a short notice or whatever it is, but we're going to bring you back for sure. So this is not your first time on Vinci Internet Radio. Although it's the first time, it will not be your last.